Inside the Triangle, the Decker Truckline Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Triangle. I am your host, Darin Ladley, and today we're going to talk some summertime help. So I've got Tyson Vance with me. Tyson is Director of Maintenance Support. All right, so he's got that fancy director title. So that means he knows what the hell he's doing.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. Yeah. You got the right headset? You sure you got the right mic onto the right headset? Now talk into the mic.
Hello?
There you go.
Now
all that good shit for nothing.
I do that every time. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it.
Operator issue.
Oh, God.
She don't need my help. I can't fix that.
All right, Tyson. So you're the Director of Maintenance Support. Got that fancy title now. So I know you're working like 90 hours a week, nights, days, whatever is needed. So you wanted to talk about a little summer maintenance tips that the drivers can use. So go ahead. What do you got?
Well, you know, in the summertime, you get the hot weather. There's just a lot of things you can do to help keep yourself cool in the truck. A lot of things you can do with the equipment. I went through a lot of things in my mind after we talked about this yesterday. And, you know, the main thing is to cool that sleeper down while you're trucking down the road in 45 minutes to an hour before you start, or you're going to stop. That way you get it cool back there so the APU is not working overtime to get that cooled down back there. So, you know, I talk to drivers every day on the phone about this issue. And, you know, to turn that bunk AC on while you're running down the road is going to help you with the APU cooling after you stop and park.
So let me ask you this, okay? So everybody knows I kind of do this once in a while, okay, the driving part. So it's just a switch on the dashboard that turns the air conditioning on back there, or the heater, whatever you got it set at. Are the drivers driving with their curtains open or closed? Because I know if I drive with my curtain open, I want the air conditioning on back there because that's way too much to heat without it. Or are they driving with their curtains closed?
I don't know if they're closed or open, but a lot of the drivers that we run into are just running the cab AC while they're running down the road. That airflow doesn't get back in the back of the sleeper. So you got to have that bunk AC on, 45 minutes to an hour before you're going to stop and park. That way, when you kick the APU on, it's going to be cool in there already, and then it ain't have to work so hard to get it cooled down back there.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I mean, it should be set. Just reach, push the button, good to go.
Yep. And another thing too is I talked to some of our drivers and have them get a little small desk fan, like I have on my desk here, to put that on the floor and circulate the air back in there when they got the APU running and the curtains closed. That way, because warm air rises, cool air sinks. If you don't, the APU pushes the cool air out on the floor. If you can put a fan in there and get one that you can articulate up and blow that air up into the top and help circulate that air back there, it's going to help cool that bunk down a lot quicker.
Well, I've got, you've seen my little pop-up camper I use behind my motorcycle. So that's what we do because the air conditioner, yes, I have an air conditioner in a little tent camper. And it only blows straight out. So it doesn't get up into the bed area. So my wife, she's a fan nut. So just a little clip-on. It just clips onto something and it works awesome. Yep. I mean, it does the same purpose.
Yep. I helped that guy. He did that. He called me a week later after he did that. And he's like, wow, what a world of difference that fan made, to help. Because once that sleeper's so hot, that APU, the condenser on it, isn't big enough to cool all that down when it's 100 degrees outside. And to keep that curtain closed and that fan circulating air back there, he was happy that we talked about that and he got a fan and started doing that.
Well, maybe we need to talk to Tammy and see about maybe carrying, some of them fans in the store, and have the drivers have an option. Hey, come in here if you needed that. We could sell it to you. I mean, they're cheap. Or you probably buy one for $5-10, something like that at Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, and I think Katie, you were in on this a little bit. We've tested some sun shields now.
I seen that.
All right. Did you, I don't know if you had that in there, but, I saw pictures of it. They fit perfect.
Yep.
So we're going to have that option pretty soon as the drivers can be able to get a hold of these sun shields, and that should help immensely on keeping the temperature down.
Yeah, Matt Lynch showed a screenshot of it on the computer yesterday for me, and they suction cup to the window, and they fit in there better than a sun shield that you would just unfold like an accordion and stick it up in there. These stick up in there, suction cup to the windows, and they look nice.
Yeah. Well, and he said that they did a test, and it's been hot up here. It's not been cool, that's for sure. And it dropped just with nothing on, just dropping that in there, it dropped the temperature down in the cab quite a bit, just sitting outside. So one of the issues with the air conditioning that the drivers always have issues with is if you leave the curtains open, yes, you want the curtains open, you want the room, but that air conditioner is not designed to cool that whole cab.
No, not at all.
Okay. What else you got?
Next thing I got is, a driver running down the road with the cab AC on recirculate all the time. It's going to get cold and colder because you're pulling in the air from inside the cab that's already cold back through the evaporator in the dash. So what we run into is that evaporator freezes up like a solid block of ice. They have to run it on fresh air, every hour or so, hour or two, to bring that warm air in from outside to help cut the ice off that evaporator in there. So if a driver calls me and says, hey, I was running all day, my AC was cold, and then later on during the day it got warm, we have them switch it over to fresh air, pull that warm air in across that evaporator, it defrosts it, and then it goes back to cooling.
Wow. And I never knew that. Yep. Because I'm a recirc guy myself, so I never realized that. I've seen reefer units, I've seen other things freeze up, but I didn't know that was the reason.
Yep. Yeah, they freeze up like a solid block of ice, like your old freezers they call them ice boxes, where you had the handle you pulled and you had to flip the freezer door open, how it all freezes up in there. That's the same thing that happens to them evaporators. Okay. Reefer units do the same thing, but they automatically defrost by themselves. With the truck cab AC or the AC in the cab, they don't defrost. So that bringing that fresh air in is what defrosts it.
Never knew that.
Next thing I got is keeping the windshield clean at all times in the summertime, especially. It's not really a heat-related deal, but, when you're running in the sun, east or west in the morning, in the afternoon, with the bugs and all that stuff and grime on there, it makes it tougher to see. So it's always good to keep a clean windshield when you're running into the sunlight. Yep. These drivers call in and having the wiper and the washer fluid in the truck is a huge thing to have, when you're running down the road, keeping that glass clean. But, if you stop and put fuel in, make sure that you clean the windshield off. It's a lot easier when you're running down the road and you can see with a clean, clear glass.
Well, I don't know. I found the best thing that I use it for cleaning my cheater glasses and my sunglasses, but even my car glasses is those microfiber towels. If you use there's one side that it does an amazing job at cleaning off your glasses. Doesn't scratch, doesn't do anything, but it'll clean anything off of that glass pretty much that you have on there.
Yep.
Okay.
It will. The other thing I have is pre-cooling trailers in the summertime. It's a big issue when you got a box full of air and nothing taking up any space in there. If you're going to go preload to load produce or ice cream or so on and so forth, you want to, pre-cool that trailer to 45 minutes an hour before you're going to go pick it up. That way you can get all that warm air out of there. I mean, you got, 52 foot of air in there, 8 foot tall. You got to let air cool down. And if you don't have any product taking up that space, it's going to take a long time for that trailer to pull down before they'll load it.
Well, you say ice cream. I mean, if you go to Lamar's, they will not touch that trailer till it's sitting at minus 20.
Minus 10.
Minus 10.
Minus 10.
And if you're at 100 degrees outside, like it was dang near yesterday, a heat index here of 105, I think it was yesterday, that's a lot of heat to dissipate.
Yeah, it takes a long time.
Okay. What about tire issues? Any tire stuff we should worry about?
Yeah, tire issues, you always want to check your tire pressure when the tires are cold. An underinflated tire in hot temps is just as bad as a tire that's overinflated in hot temps. You can create a lot of issues. You always want to keep your tires aired up. We'll have guys that'll check their air pressure and one side of the truck's facing the sun, which the sun's going to make them tires have more pressure in them than the tires that are in the shade. So always make sure you check your tire pressures and when they're cold, and adjust them when they're cold. You don't ever adjust hot tires ever.
Yeah, don't get done with your trip for the day. Get out there and check your tire pressure because it's going to be 20 or 30 pounds higher. I mean, if we set them at, 100 pounds? Is that where we run?
So 110 in the steers and then 95, 100 on the truck.
Okay.
On the drives and trailer.
So if you've been trucking in 100-degree temperature and you go out at 6 hours later and check it, it's probably going to be 130 pounds of air pressure in that tire. So who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's going to be way up there. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'll deflate it down to 100 pounds. And then in the morning you get up and it's at 60.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it happens all the time. Brandon over there in the safety lane, when the trucks come in, they don't ever check any tire pressures. They go up and feel them, see if they're cold. If they're cold, like a guy who just came from the mill or something like that, then they'll go ahead and check tire pressure on them. But if they come in hot, they don't adjust them. They can check them, but they don't adjust them.
So I know a lot of the reefer trailers, and do all the reefer trailers have, some of them do. I know all the Cargill trailers have that little light on the trailer for the automatic inflation system. Do all our reefer trailers now have that light?
Yes.
Okay, so how does that light work? What is it?
So that's the automatic tire inflation. They call it, automatic tire inflation. Cars have it nowadays. It will maintain pressure in the trailer tires. So say you start out in the morning, you hook up, the white light comes on. That means you got a tire that's probably low. What it does, as soon as you charge air back to that trailer, it puts air into each tire or one tire or all 8 tires to air them up to 100 PSI plus or minus 2 or 3 PSI. And then once that white light goes off, that means everything's at the proper pressure. It doesn't take air out, it only puts air in. So if you're running down the road and you got a screw in the tire and it's properly inflated, next morning you wake up and the white light's back on, you go walk around and find a screw. What it did, it leaked down overnight and then it aired back up to pressure and the light went off. So if the white light's on, it means we got either a tire issue or an air leak issue going on with the auto inflation system.
Okay. I mean, it has helped a lot. When they came in, I wish the trucks had it sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever see. I don't know how, if they can get it in the trailers, I don't know how they can't get in. Is it the power divider stuff and all that you wouldn't be able to put it in the trailer or in the truck?
It's the live axles on the truck. You got the axles turning inside the tube. On a trailer. You don't have that. So the whole axle on a trailer is charged with air pressure. And then it goes out to the spindles, and that's how it goes out to the tires. It goes through the end of the spindle and a Welch plug, and then there's hoses that come off the hubcap that feed the tires.
What about bulkheads? How about the delivering the cold air? Is there any hints you can see? Make sure you're checking your air flows inside the trailer.
Yep, you always want to get up and make sure there's no cellophane or any garbage sucked up in the bottom of the reefer unit. That's up inside the trailer. There's a white bulkhead up there on the front. That is to, 1, return airflow to the reefer unit, and 2, to keep the load away from the reefer unit so you don't block the airflow.
Flatbed trailers. I know we have gone to the automatic dump valves. So is that in all the trailers now? I know because we were doing a conversion over, but have we got it in all the trailers yet?
I don't think it's 100% yet.
Okay.
I think they're trying to get them stragglers that are out there that, get them work back into the shop to get that retrofit kit done.
Okay. So drivers, be aware. Don't pick up a trailer and think it has the automatic inflate valve, because you go down the road and then when you go to scale, things are going to be a little kittywampus.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other thing I have is on the reefer units. So we have IntelliSets 1 through 17. Different IntelliSet numbers will operate in different types of temperature of weather. So number 5, number 9, number 12, and number 14 will all operate in start-stop mode until the ambient temperature gets to 85 degrees. Once the ambient temperature gets to 85 degrees, the reefer unit knows that and will automatically go into continuous run all by itself. There's no change in it. It's automatic on all trailers in the fleet. Number 5, number 9, number 12, and 14 are...
Is that like produce probably, or, well, wouldn't it be produce?
Fresh meat too.
Fresh meat, okay.
Yep. So what happens is you want them units on start-stop when the weather's nice, it's cooler. But when it gets above 85 degrees, you want that continuous airflow in there. So once it switches over to 85 degrees continuous run, it's going to run on that until your ambient temp drops to 85 or below, and then it'll go right back into start-stop. I get calls all the time from drivers, hey, I'm on start-stop mode. I'm in number 5 IntelliSet. Why is it running on continuous run? Because it tells you on the screen continuous run. Yep. So they call in because it's supposed to be on start-stop, but it's on continuous. And we get in there and look, and we'll say, well, your ambient temp's 105 degrees. That's why it's doing that.
What about a negative? Does it, if it gets cold, does it do anything, or?
No.
Okay. When you're talking about the temperature settings where it does something, what about in the trucks? What is the idle time on the trucks? What happens? What's that? 80 degrees or
80 degrees, and then you can idle the truck.
Okay. So, when it comes to the truck and you're doing your pre-trip inspections and it's that hot out, I mean, the main things you want to be looking for, I suppose, is your tire wear, your, tire pressures, but then also what about your radiators, stuff like that?
Yep. You always want to keep it clean up front, and in the summertime, say you're parked at a truck stop and you're facing east and the sun setting or facing west and sun setting to the west, all that sun beating in on that radiator if you have your truck running, is going to cause that much heat in the evaporator on the AC side of the truck. So it's always good to find a place where you can park away from the sun and not have the sun beating down on there. Just like in the wintertime, you want to get it out of the wind so that way the truck will build heat.
So why you never see winter fronts anymore, or summer fronts, or bug screens or anything? Why is that?
Well, what I know from working in the trailer shop and tractor shop over here is they had issues with fan hubs and not getting airflow through there, and they were tearing up some fan hubs on there. So Peterbilt says they don't need to run winter front on those anymore. There was a lot of issues. We were doing a lot of fan clutches, fan hubs, stuff like that on the trucks because of the pressure that wasn't getting through there because of the winter front.
My advice is wear shorts and stay cool.
Plenty of water.
Bring water. Yes, guys, stay hydrated. I always carry usually a gallon jug of water. It sits beside the seat, and I'm always drinking on water because that's what keeps you cool. If you keep that, you're going to keep cool. I don't know how guys could ever drink hot coffee when it's 100 degrees out and they're driving down the road and they got the thermos going, I need hot coffee. How do you do that? I don't get it. Yeah, I don't like coffee, period, unless you creamer the heck out of it. That's the only way I can drink it. So, all right, for this week's trivia question, we're going to go a little different route. So, Tyson, what's your trivia question?
My trivia question for this podcast is, what year did I start working for Decker Truck Line?
All right, guys. Well, thank you for the advice, Tyson.
Welcome.
If you have any questions, call in. Maintenance support is there 24/7.
24/7, 365. If you got an issue, we're here.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. And remember, keep the shiny side up. As always, thank you for listening to Inside the Triangle. Don't forget to subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening on. That way you will know when the new episodes drop. And remember, submit your questions to podcast@deckermail.com, and you could be featured on one of our upcoming episodes. The best way to do this is to create a voice memo on your smartphone, record your question, and email it to podcast@deckermail.com. Once again, thank you for listening. Stay driven to be the best.